Here's the engine. It's going to be removed as a complete unit with the gearbox. Now when it comes to dismantling, start at the battery. I normally work my way along the front, down the side, and then finally along the back until you end up back at the battery, and then jack the car up. In this particular case I'm going to take the wheel arch liners out, the bumper off, the headlights off, remove the engine. Once you're underneath, you then have to do the same thing from underneath a box. You start at one part of the car and you just work your way around the engine. That way then you make sure that everything is off. The last things to be undone once the crane is in position are the engine mounts. Once the engine mounts are loosened off, you know that the engine can then be lifted up and away. And then hopefully we can clean the engine bay, make a really nice job of everything that's inside there. I've got another engine all ready to go in. It'll be just a matter of dropping it in, firing it up, and away you go. Polish the side of it, and inside is nice and clean. Look at the door shuts. Look at those shuts. The interior itself, nice and clean. Not fully finished yet, but not far off. Battery is now removed, which leaves us the battery cover, this black cover. To remove that next. And there, once that's removed, you can see, there we go then. The next thing to remove the air filter box, and then this trunking, the fresh air trunking that takes the air to the air filter box. So that's the next thing to go. So off comes the air filter box, and then the clutch cable is nice and easily disconnected. Now you've got these pipes in the way, the wiring, but look down here, look, that pipe there, this wire here, the aircon compressor, the alternator wiring, those all need to be disconnected next, because they're all in this front section. And the wiring loom goes into that box. Now the loom is attached throughout the engine, but it looks as if it's quite involved to physically disconnect it at that box. So I may have to disconnect the loom from every single thing on the engine. Not desirable. We'll see how we get on. Water bottle removed. Top hose removed. Bottom hose removed. Notice weird connections to the heater box, so I've just pulled the hoses out of the way. That's left us a little bit of clearance now in this area for us to hopefully disconnect the loom, so that we can get that bit of the loom completely disconnected and out the way, and that'll leave us just with the loom that's fixed to the engine. Remove the pipes, follow the wiring through, disconnect the wiring as much as you can. On this particular car, look, there's an aircon compressor, so I've disconnected the aircon compressor because I want to get into there to make sure that the engine can come out without the aircon compressor being compromised. So I'll probably have to remove the alternator so that when the engine comes up, the aircon compressor can lay where it is now, look, out the way. Little bit aggrieved to have to remove the alternator, but hey ho, not the end of the world. And strangely enough, this loom has a wire disappearing into the headlight. I wonder what on earth that does. So continuing to take things apart. Earth's off at the front of the box. There's a connection going to the ECU at the top there. There is a wire which disappears under the chassis. I haven't got a clue what that is, but hey ho, we'll find that when we're underneath. So probably the next thing is probably have a go at getting that alternator off. Then I'm going to take the front bumper, headlights and all that sort of stuff off. Alternator removed, alternator bracket removed, and belts. That allows the aircon compressor to be nearly pulled out of the way, and then basically, apart from this one lead that goes into the headlight somewhere, bizarre, that can then be pulled out of the way, and then essentially along this front section nothing is holding the engine to the chassis. We come round here, I've disconnected the fuel line, so pretty much there's nothing apart from the mounting that's holding the engine to this side, not at the top here anyway. So just need to sort this wire out. Unfortunately it looks as if I'm going to take the headlights out before I can find out where it goes, so I'm going to do that now. Wheel arch trims off, front bumper off, headlights off. All makes it easier basically to get into bits and pieces. Now look, along the front, look between the front of the car and the engine, nothing's touching. Aircon compressor safely zipped out the way. Nothing now connecting the engine apart from the mount to the body on this side. So now the next stage is to remove the wiring at the ECU, the exhaust pipe, and then pretty much the top side is done. So now we come to the mystery of the ECU metal cover. How does it come off? And more importantly, why is it bloody there? Can't see the point. We're going to have a little look, see if we can find out how to get it off, and I'll show you how. So here's the ECU off the car, and you need it off the car in order to see how it's ridiculous the way it's held in place. See this little hole here? Inside is a wheel that can be turned by sticking a sharp screwdriver or something like that in the slot, which is exactly what you do. And you rotate it upwards, and you turn it, and you turn it, and you turn it, roughly about 100 revs, and then you're able then to pull the top bit off. The bottom bit slides off the ECU, and then you can access the electrical connections. Look at this little threaded portion, which you turn that wheel and it allows that little bit there to be drawn along a thread. So how many bottles of Cointreau did Serge have when he was designing that? What a complete knob. So guess what? It probably won't be going back on when I rebuild the Renault. In fact, it'll be going in the bin. The story so far: brakes off, everything taken apart, ready now to remove the hub and the drive shaft. Lots of stuff now been disconnected. Hub and drive shaft. Now what we're going to do here, disconnect these two. Disconnect these two here, look. Disconnect the track rod end, ABS sensor, and then I'm going to withdraw the hub, complete with the drive shaft on this particular side, because this wheel bearing is knackered. So I'm going to take the hub off, complete with the drive shaft, and then do a wheel bearing replacement on that when it's off. Coming along bit by bit. Now ready to be pulled out. Everything's been disconnected this side. Everything's been disconnected this side. In fact, look, the engine's rocking on its bounce. Drive shaft's been pulled out this side. Everything's disconnected. Hub's been taken off. The drive shaft has just been laid to one side on this one because it's fairly simple. Just needs to be out the way. Everything else has been disconnected. So now it's time to get the crane.